Just when it looked like the Diamondbacks were finally turning a corner, the injury bug struck again. Ryan Nelson, Michael Soroka, and Jordan Lawlar go down, and a team already hanging by a thread is searching for answers everywhere, including a rookie making his major league debut.
You are Locked On Diamondbacks, your daily Arizona Diamondbacks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Diamondbacks. I'm your host, Jordan Lawlar, a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode in particular is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. Now, not even speaking about the series over the weekend, Diamondbacks lose to the Twins. Twins take 2 out of 3. Diamondbacks lose the rower match after taking game 1. It was a nice offensive effort in the first one. The Diamondbacks conclude kind of a 2-game stretch where they score 8+ after they'd been one of the worst offenses in baseball over the last month or so. It looked like it was going to be progress, but Friday ultimately is where everything went wrong for the Diamondbacks. First of all, it was Ryan Nelson. In the morning, it is announced that Ryan Nelson is going on the IL. Some of the news coming out is that he felt elbow discomfort during the third inning versus the Angels on June 19th, but ended up finishing 7 innings after the pain subsided. He was throwing 97, 96, 98. The velocity never dipped. There were really never any signs in an outing, at least to me, and I'm sure obviously to the training staff, they didn't notice anything, that there was anything going on with Ryan Nelson. So this news definitely came out of left field. And for how poor the rotation's been, still haven't gotten Corbin Burnes back. He's on a setback. It was definitely a big blow to the Diamondbacks, but Ryan Nelson hasn't necessarily been the Diamondbacks' best pitcher. His ERA has floated around 5 or the high 4s all season. So I suppose if there's any positives to be had, it wasn't Eduardo Rodriguez, it wasn't Michael Soroka, right? That's where the news gets worse. Michael Soroka, he took the start on Friday, left in the second inning in what was initially called posterior left hip discomfort. It felt like a little bit of a move by Torrey, just in case. Let's be careful. Obviously, Ryan Nelson. The news was that he felt the injury in the second inning of his last start, but he went through the start anyways. You don't want to make the same mistake with Michael Soroka, especially he's arguably been their best pitcher, not just looking at ERAs, but the stuff and the strikeouts and how he's been able to limit runs, all that good stuff. He's been great. There's a case for him to be all-star. Whatever the case is, you can't lose Michael Soroka. The same way you can't lose Eduardo Rodriguez, Corbin Carroll, Ketel Marte, whoever it is. The Diamondbacks don't have a whole lot of depth right now because of the injuries that they've gone throughout the season. So being careful, 100% the right move. At the time, I really felt like it was just a precautionary move. I didn't really. It felt like he was fine. He came out during warm-up, so maybe it was just something they noticed early on. It wasn't during the game, which to me is a good sign. It was later diagnosed as a strained left glute, and he's going to undergo an MRI, which is not not what you wanted to hear at all. But yeah, no surprise with what Torrey did. Pulled him immediately after what happened with Nelson. It was a really rough go of things. Diamondbacks announced that Ryan Nelson was going on the IL that morning. Definitely a big blow. Some of the news with Ryan Nelson was that it's not a full-blown UCL tear, so I think that may be the worst case scenario. So it's kind of a best case scenario is what Ryan Nelson believes it has, or Ryan Nelson believes it is. Sorry, and he's going to be shut down for 4 to 6 weeks, and it could end up being a 12-week result. So he's not going to throw a baseball for 4 to 6 weeks, and then he's going to have to ease himself back up. And maybe he's back by the end of the season. Maybe he's back around the same time that Corbin Burnes comes back. I think the projections right now are around September, which is really unfortunate. I felt like Ryan Nelson was turning a bit of a corner. Obviously, his fastball is such a great pitch, but in his last outing against the Angels, I felt like he really mixed in his off speed really well, and he was sequencing. And I just felt like it was a step in the right direction for what's been like a very up and down season, especially looking at his previous start against the Marlins. And they just need innings right now. So that was kind of my main takeaway is that Ryan Nelson is such a big innings eater for them. But sort of 2 players going down instantly. The later news about Michael Soroka was really unfortunate. But then it got worse throughout the game. Jordan Lawlar bunted for a hit in the eighth inning. To me, nothing looked wrong. I mean, he beat out the bunt, but the trainers came out immediately, and you're thinking, oh no, especially with Jordan Lawlar's injury history. What's going on here? And they ended up taking him out of the game. It was late in the game, so again, maybe a precautionary thing. He actually jogged, I would say ran pretty hard back to the dugout. It almost felt like he was making a point that he was okay. It was initially described as hamstring tightness, later diagnosed as a right hamstring strain, MRI pending. So same thing with Michael Soroka. They're both getting MRIs. Uh, Lawler is going to be on the 10-day IL, and then Michael Soroka on the 15-day IL. So just some brutal news from there on those the same day. Three players get injured, and arguably three of the most important players to get injured on this team at this point. I know, like I mentioned before, that Ryan Nelson hasn't necessarily been great this year, but he eats so many innings and he's a young pitcher, so there's always improvement to be made with him, especially how good his fastball is. And then Michael Soroka, one of the feel good stories of this year, in my opinion, just being that he's a guy that's come back from two ACL tears, and for himself to kind of reinvent himself away from like a over the top sinker ball pitcher to kind of a sidearm fastball cutter slurve. His slurve has been phenomenal this year. And then Jordan Lawlar. Everybody wants to see Jordan Lawlar play baseball. In the former number 4 overall prospect, he was hitting about 316 with above an 800 PS before he left. He had 2 multi-hit games since his time coming off the IL. It just suited up to be a perfect opportunity for himself to finally prove he's capable of the talent that he's been talked about over these last few years. He's playing everyday center field, 2-strike hitting. The power looked a little more there. That he just looked like a professional approach at the plate, and it's really unfortunate to see him go down. But just overall for the Diamondbacks altogether, I mean, it's just been a brutal stretch, right? Torey Lovella just, I mean, you put it blatant. It's been brutal for them. For Corbin Burnes to have his setback, for A.J. Puk to be setback. Justin Martinez has Tommy John. I mean, Carlos Santana's been hurt. They've just had so many injuries, and this has been a consistent trend with the Diamondbacks. It's always every year it comes down to maybe Perdomo's injured, maybe Marte's injured. They've always had pitching injuries. Just feels like never at the right time. Of course, Jordan Montgomery, that whole saga with him being injured, Eduardo Rodriguez has been injured for a lot of his Diamondbacks career. It's just been brutal, and I don't know if you are one that believes in the conspiracies of the training staff needs to be fired and they need to let everybody go. And maybe it's a case of bad luck. Maybe it's something internally they're just not doing right. But it's entirely frustrating. Just to have a season where you feel like, well, if we had these guys, well, if we had these guys, well, if we had these guys, about the whole what ifs. I mean, the Diamondbacks are floating around 500 right now, and they were supposed to get their ace back in Corbin Burnes and 2 of their best relievers back in A.J. Puk and Justin Martinez. So you felt like they were suited for a run just to have all the pitching that they have. I found a cool graphic while I was looking at just some of the names and looking through injury history and all that kind of stuff. Originally, when they all signed, I mean, just kind of the funniness of, I mean, this was supposed to be the rotation at one point. Ryan Nelson is also listed as number 7 on this. So there was a point in time where the Diamondbacks had Corbin Burnes, Zac Gallen, Merrill Kelly when you still thought highly of them, Eduardo Rodriguez when you still thought highly of him, Brandon Pfaadt when you still had some hope that he could progress, Jordan Montgomery coming off of a World Series with Texas, Ryan Nelson still had plenty of upside. So that's 7 pretty quality starters, and then plenty of upside when you look at Pfaadt. Gallen was supposed to be in his prime at that point in time. Nelson was supposed to be on the come up. And now you're pretty much looking at Zac Gallen, Merrill Kelly, Eduardo Rodriguez, and everybody else because of the injuries. So definitely, like I said, been a rough go of things. Diamondbacks have just got hit with the injury bug as hard as humanly possible, and that couldn't have showed up more on Friday when they lost Soroka, Nelson, and Lawlar all at the same time. Talking about Jordan Lawlar in specific, you just got to feel bad for the guy as of now. Since signing with the Diamondbacks in 2021, he's been on the 60-day IL, 7-day IL, 60-day IL, 60-day IL, which was the wrist fracture earlier this year. Now he's on the 10-day IL, 7 IL stints in total. 3 times on the 60-day IL for Jordan Lawlar. Of course, made his major league debut in 2023, still has only played just 54 MLB games. He was hitting .316 with an .856 OPS in 12 games this season, include 3 multi-hit games since returning from the wrist injury, like I mentioned. And it's really unfortunate because he gets this mantra, this label of being a really injury-prone player. And there's definitely a resume to say that he is, but the wrist fracture was just completely a freak accident. So it's unfortunate that he gets that kind of labeled on him. My brain instantly goes to Jordan Tyson. If any of you are AC football fans out there, Jordan Tyson gets the kind of a similar label of being really injury prone, and going into the draft, he had this label put on him. When in reality, the injury that he had at the end of 2025 was somebody rolling on his shoulder that knocked him out for the rest of the year, which didn't even relate to a lot of the hamstring and the leg injuries that he was having. So it's an unfair label, or I won't say it's unfair, but it's unfortunate because things like that are just complete freak accidents that you can't control if a pitch is going to hit your wrist, besides, flip out of the way really quickly. But when pitches are coming in at 95 miles per hour, it's really hard to do that. So I definitely feel for Jordan Lawlar. I hope the Diamondbacks, I don't think they'll give up on him. I hope they don't. I hope the fans don't give up on him, because obviously there's still plenty of talent and he's a guy that's working his way back every day. But it's just tough beating out a bunt single and you pull your hamstring, especially when he's only been back for 3 or so series. So just unfortunate for Jordan Lawlar. He's had it out for himself. I hope he continues to get back and he can find some success in his health going forward. Nothing like watching a Diamondbacks game. Even better when you get to watch it live. The excitement, the fans, the environment. The only problem, getting tickets can feel like a grind. Long queues, surprise fees, prices jumping at checkout. That's where there's Game Time. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage with constant innovation. It's how you unlock amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. It's simple to use. The Game Time guarantee means you get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time at the best price. And here's the best part. Fees are included in the price you see. What you see is what you pay, period. The seats view feature is huge. I can see the panoramic view from my exact seat before you buy. No hidden walls, no hidden structures blocking your view. 2 taps and it's done. No stress, no hidden fees, just great seats in minutes. That's what makes it so easy to decide last minute to hit a game. Take the guesswork out of buying LB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. If you've got a sweet tooth like I do, you know how tough it is to find that perfect treat without all the sugar. That's why Cotton Candy 5-Hour Energy Shot brings that nostalgic flavor back in a whole new way. This is that classic cotton candy taste that you remember, but with a tasty caffeine boost and 0 sugar. It's a quick, easy way to satisfy that sweet craving while keeping things simple and on the go. I've always loved cotton candy, but I can't be eating sweet treats all day, and this is a perfect alternative. Bring on the sweetness with Cotton Candy 5-Hour Energy Shots, available now online at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. Welcome back to the show. I want to tell you a little bit about the Everydayers Club. Get your daily Diamondbacks coverage completely ad-free by joining the Everydayer Club today. Start your 7-day free trial right now and get closer to your team without the interruptions. Click the link in the show notes or go to lockedondiamondbacks.supercast.com to claim your free trial. Now, we talked a little bit about the injuries, the updates, what this means to the Diamondbacks as it currently sits, just how unfortunate and the timing of it all. I mean, just for themselves to put all the money that they did into Corbin Burnes, Merrill Kelly, Zac Gallen, Eduardo Rodriguez, all these players, and for them, most of them, to not see them pan out, or they just don't see what they have in the first place. I mean, Corbin Burnes has been great in the time that he has been a Diamondback, but he hasn't been a Diamondback for very long. But why, as this current team, why do these injuries hurt so bad? Because there's positions that the Diamondbacks could do with, that they could do without. There's certain areas that they've been really good, and there's certain areas that they've been really bad. Well, you talk about Brian Nelson and Michael Soroka going down, and Jordan Lawlar. Those are probably 3 of the worst players Arizona could lose to could afford to lose, especially with the state of the rotation. The Diamondbacks rank 27th in starter WAR. Ryan Nelson, Merrill Kelly, and Zac Gallen are all among the bottom 26 qualified starters in ERA. I believe you have to go to 60 innings qualified to look at Merrill Kelly. He's not qualified just yet, but he's been just as bad. Zac Gallen, I believe, has the worst qualified ERA in the big leagues after last night's start, which felt like a topic that needed to be talked about today. But I want to talk about the injuries first. I'll probably mention the Zac Gallen start a little later. Talk about Jose Cabrera and his start that he had. I want to talk about kind of the state of the team right now, how they played over the weekend a little later. But I thought the injuries were priority number one since I didn't get to talk about them on Saturday or Sunday. But looking at Jordan Lawlar, I mean, just beyond the rotation, the Diamondbacks' current outfield, Corbin Carroll, 919 OPS. Of course, he's been phenomenal. He's their superstar out there. He's holding it down in the outfield. But then it's just a downward tilt, right? Lourdes Gurriel, 536 OPS. He's just been back from injury, but I believe he only has one, maybe two hits since he's returned. He's got to heat up quickly. He can't carry a 500 OPS this whole season. You give him some grace because he's injured and he's a new implementation into the lineup. Hopefully, kind of a fresh start out of the injury. You hope you can find a spark from him, especially when they need one. But he's just been really inconsistent and underwhelming this year. Jorge Barosa, 616 OPS. He feels like he might have to be in the lineup every day now that Jordan Lawlar's out. Tommy Troy, 745 OPS. He's been particularly good against left-handed pitching, not so good against right-handed pitching. He's still figuring it out, but Tommy Troy is not the worst player you can have in the lineup every day, especially when there's plenty of upside with him and you feel like he's a part of your future. And then the Diamondbacks just called up Tim Tawa for the second game of the series after Jordan Lawlar went down. Tawa hasn't played a ton at the major leagues this year in a short sample size. He's a 514 OPS. He hasn't been great at the major league level, but a lot of reason that maybe there's some excitement to have about him is that he was crushing it in AAA. He had a 351 average, 1211 OPS, and 5 homers and 57 at bats. But just looking down this list of OPS, you needed a guy like Jordan Lawlar in there. I mean, the outfield production outside of Corbin Carroll has been pretty underwhelming, especially when you factor in that Ryan Walchmut was rolling for after he got called up, but really hit a cold stretch for a while there. And then Gurriel, you get back. Barosa's been poor in the time that he's played, although he did have a homer in the series. But really, just of the positions that the Diamondbacks really need to produce, they lose some players that they really needed at this point in time. Michael Soroka, Eduardo Rodriguez have held down the rotation for a lot of the year. It's funny, I saw someone post a stat that the Diamondbacks are 6th in quality starts, but because of Merrill Kelly and Zac Gallen and Ryan Nelson, about kind of the blow-ups that they've had at that point, the Diamondbacks are one of the lower teams in the league in ERA and just pitching more. They're 27th in overall pitching more, just because the highs have been super high with Michael Soroka and Eduardo Rodriguez, sometimes even Ryan Nelson, but the lows have been Zac Gallen when he gave up 12 hits and 9 earned runs over on Saturday against the Twins. So the lows have just been so low and the highs have been really high, and they lose one of their rotation starters who's been a part of those really high highs. Just looking at the current injury list, Jordan Lawlar's on the 10-day IL, Soroka's on the 15-day IL, Puck's on the 60-day IL. He had a setback. Corbin Burnes is on the 60-day IL. He had a setback. Martinez, 60-day IL. Nelson, 15-day IL. Carlos Santana, 60-day IL. James McCann, 10-day IL. Christian Mena, 60-day IL. And those are just some of the notables. There's also a few other names on there that I mentioned. But then, again, that's Burnes going down. That's Rodriguez going down. Nelson's down there as another notable option. He's down. Brandon Pfaadt's in the minor leagues right now, and Jordan Montgomery is no longer on the team. So that's a large part of that rotation that you thought was going to be all hyped up to be one of the best rotations in baseball, and they just haven't been able to see that yet. Speaking of Brandon Pfaadt, I want to talk about Brandon Pfaadt in a little bit of a later episode. He's made a few starts in the minor leagues. He's building up to be a starting pitcher again. Obviously, they need him more now than ever because of all the injuries that they've had, and they sent him down to AAA to prepare him and stretch him out to come back up to the big leagues and hopefully be a competent starter for them, which he really hasn't been over his Diamondbacks tenure outside of the 2023 postseason run. But he's working his pitch count up for the Diamondbacks. They shorted him too much while using him in relief. He threw 52 pitches Saturday for Reno. Needs to get back into the 75-80 pitch range before returning. In 2026 so far, he's pitched in 38 innings pitched, 13 games, 3 games started, and he has a 5.92 ERA. It's been really rough for Brandon Pfaadt. It's so unfortunate how his career has trended after one of the biggest kind of unicorn insanity runs in 2023, being a huge part of the Diamondbacks World Series run. You hope that he could really build on that, and he just hasn't been able to. It's been a mixture of things: the stuff, the walks, the hits, the just a lot of things haven't progressed the way that I like to imagine that he wanted to at that point. So it's really unfortunate the way that things have trended for Brandon Pfaadt, but now they're going to need him. Now he's going to pitch a lot this year, whether the Diamondbacks like it or not, because it's the same. It's similar situation with Zac Gallen to where he's been so poor that any other team would probably DFA him if they had a competent 5-man rotation, and they probably weren't paying him $20 million. But the Diamondbacks are paying him $20 million, and they don't have anybody else stretched out or available to pitch every 5 days. Now, are the Diamondbacks better suited for throwing out more Jose Cabreras and giving them a shot in the big leagues? Most likely at this point. I really don't see a light with Zac Gallen as of right now, but he's making too much money probably to DMV him at this point. You maybe take him to the rotation if that's the ultimate conclusion that the Diamondbacks come to, because it really has just been that bad for Zac Gallen. Like I said, talk about it in a future episode. Maybe come back to him when there's a decision to be made with what his future holds with him. But it was really unfortunate for Zac Gallen. I mean, the average exit velocity on Saturday against him was 82 miles per hour, and he still gave up 12 hits, 9 earned runs, both were a career high. 22 balls were in play, 12 of them went for hits. That's about a 54% clip. Just doesn't have any put away stuff anymore. He threw his fastball 40% of the time and didn't get one whiff with it. His changeup's still really good. Slider, his knuckle curve, I believe, gave up 4 of his 12 hits. Just been really rough. But with that being said, what do the Diamondbacks do about this rotation? What's next? Who's in place? What are they going to do now that they've lost all the options? Who's up next? Well, tell you about Jose Cabrera coming up. He pitched on Sunday. It was his first major league start. Where the Diamondbacks were going to go. Torey Laveau called it a little bit of a surprise, and now we saw it firsthand. Hopefully a mainstay going forward. That's sort of what it looked like. Talk about him after the break. Baseball season is here and now you can trade every game on Call Sheet. On Call Sheet, you can trade every single game. Looking at a league-specific matchup for today, the Angels are trading at a 44% probability to beat the A's, meaning a $100 payout pays out $218.69 if they win. On Call Sheet, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house, and as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. For a limited time, download the Call Sheet app and use code LOCKEDON to get $10 when you trade 10. KALSHI Call Sheet. Trade on anything. 18 plus only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see callsheet.com/regulatory. Now I want to talk about a little bit about Jose Cabrera, his start, his upbringing, how his season has gone in the minor leagues so far. Obviously, we've gone on and on about the injuries, what it means to the Diamondbacks, how frustrating it's been, what the pieces align to be as of right now, the return dates, whatever the case is. Now we have to look at the outlook. What's next? What's the future? Who's going to take up these roles? Who's going to pitch every 5 days for the Diamondbacks at this point if they're still trying to contend for a wild card spot, which I believe they are? How they're going to buy at the deadline, I'm just really not too sure. If they're banking on a lot of these injuries to return and hope they're still competitive, how big is Mike Kazin going to go? We're not too sure yet, but of course the answer for right now is the Diamondbacks have to look internally for options, and the first one in mind was Jose Cabrera. He's put together a pretty strong season down in the minor leagues. Chris Silvka said on Arizona Sports, he is under the radar in my opinion. He's done a really good job this year, and that's the Diamondbacks farm director. He also noted that Cabrera has improved his conditioning, his command, and his velocity while refining 2 distinct breaking balls. He now features a 6-pitch mix and has always been a strike thrower. That's what we saw firsthand on Sunday. It was really impressive that he was able to mix in all 6 pitches that he throws. He had them about equal, around all of them were around the 20% mark. I think the lowest may have been 10%, but he was throwing everything. And that's really impressive for a 24-year-old to be able to have those pitches command, have confidence in those pitches. And it wasn't like one pitch got lit up more than another, one dominated more than another. 5 of his 6 pitches that he threw each recorded 2 whiffs. So there was a lot of potential. There was a lot of good about each individual pitch. But looking at his minor league season so far, he's made 12 starts. 9 of them were in Double-A Amarillo. 3.69 ERA, 1.03 WHIP, 9.44 K per 9. Some of the big improvements that he's made, the strikeout rate jumped up from 19.8 last year to 28.7 this year. The walk rate has decreased, and is in his last AAA start prior to the one on Sunday, prior to the major league start he made on Sunday, 6 innings pitched, 0 earned, 6 strikeouts. Arsenal, we talked a little bit about that before. The 6-pitch mix that he has, sinker, cutter, slider, sweeper. It was a sweeper, 4-seam fastball, changeup, and curveball. That is definitely the weapons to have in the big leagues. The sweeper has, of course, taken over baseball. Sinker, cutter, going 2 different directions. Fastball, you're tunneling those pitches. Changeup, curveball. I was really impressed by his cutter. Got a lot of weak contact. He threw that pitch the most over the course of his outing. But it was definitely an interesting debut, considering how the Diamondbacks are desperate for quality innings right now. That might have been Zac Gallen's best start of the season if he had the same outing that he had. What stood out about Cabrera's debut? Now looking at his final line, 5 innings pitched, 3 hits, 0 earned, 0 walks, 3 strikeouts. Now the Diamondbacks didn't get the win. They lost 4-2. Juan Murillo blew the lead in the 7th inning when the Twins stormed back thanks to a few RBI singles. But for a while there, it looked like Cabrera had delivered the Father's Day gift to Diamondbacks fans to be able to take this series despite all the bad news from the weekend, despite all the injury bugs, despite all the big loss that they have, losing when they give up 16 runs. It looked like he was going to deliver a win. They were going to take the series in the rubber match and move on to this road series they have coming up with at least a little bit of a positive, thinking about Jose Cabrera and maybe him being a mainstay going forward. But of course, just looking at the outing, not thinking about the loss too much. He had confidence in all 6 pitches. He mixed everything in and never really leaned on one offering. His cutter he threw 26% of the time, sweeper 19, curveball 18, 4-seam 18, changeup 10, sinker 10%. I thought the fastball was great. It helped him really get ahead in counts. It wasn't overwhelming hitters by any chance, but it definitely got the job done by getting strike one, 91% strike rate, and a 45% called strike whiff rate, which just, it was primarily called strike, so just getting ahead in the count right there. I believe he held his velocity really well too. That's sort of been the thing with Zac Gallen, with Merrill Kelly, even with Eduardo Rodriguez at time, is that they haven't been able to hold their velocity, right? So the velocity has gone down over the years for a lot of those guys. But then by the 6th inning, they go from 94 miles per hour to 90 miles per hour. And you just can't get through an outing without overwhelming stuff or deceptive stuff if you lower your miles per hour by 3 miles per hour. 95.1 in the 1st inning, and he was at 94.3 in the 5th inning. Now, granted, you only got to about the 60 pitch mark. What he would have gotten to at the 70 or 80 pitch mark, who knows? But for now, it was nice to see that he's able to get through an outing, hold his velocity throughout. Swing and a miss stuff, 11 whiffs on 35 swings. That's a really good mark. Changeup 50% whiff rate, sweeper 33% whiff rate. That's been the problem with a lot of Diamondbacks pitchers this year, Ryan Nelson, Zac Gallen included, is that they just haven't gotten the right whiff, put away stuff on those changeup, slider, sweeper, whatever the case is. But he was so deceptive, and at times it looked like that sweeper hitters had no clue. Look at a few Byron Buxton at bats. He was swinging and not even looking where he was swinging because that pitch was just diving off the end. Like I mentioned before, he picked up at least 2 whiffs on 5 different pitches. And then weak contact was the story. He didn't have 10 strikeouts. He didn't need to have 10 strikeouts, but it was command, 0 walks, only picked up 3 strikeouts. Not overwhelming stuff, but it was weak contact. 14 balls in play, 3 hits allowed, 5 hard hit balls, 81.1 mile per hour average exit velocity. So consistently producing that hard contact, which was funny because we talked a little bit about how Zac Gallen was able to produce a lot of weak or not so hard contact on Saturday, and the results were very drastic, right? And I'll talk about that in a second. But Jose Cabrera's ability to sequence well, spot pitches well, the command, everything didn't nothing about it screamed rookie pitcher. It felt like he definitely had the experience to be able to be up at the major league level. And I'm glad he got this opportunity because hopefully he takes it and runs with it and ends up being a big part of why the Diamondbacks stay in this NL wildcard run going forward. So definitely a lot of things to be happy about today, even despite the loss. What the Diamondbacks were going to do in the rotation, that was a ginormous question. So hopefully Jose Cabrera can make this a consistency and he can build on this outing and get. I'll take 5 innings, 3 hits, 0 earned runs every single start, no matter what pitcher you are. So I was really happy with the outing. Felt like everything was working for him today. But yeah, just kind of talking about Cabrera versus Gallen. Baseball's weird. Pretty incredible how different two outings can look despite similar contact quality. So, like I mentioned, Cabrera 5 innings pitched, 3 hits, 0 earned runs, 3 Ks, 81.1 mile per hour average exit velocity. Only 5 balls were hit 95 miles per hour plus off the bat. That's a recipe for success for any start. Usually, I would imagine the underlying numbers would say is that if you keep hitters at that exit velocity and you keep them under 5 balls hit 95 miles per hour, you're going to put together a pretty strong season. Well, Zac Gallen actually put together 82.9 mile per hour exit velocity and only give up 5 hits on 95 miles per hour or harder. Yet his line looked a little different. 4 innings pitched, 12 hits, 9 earned runs, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. He got nickel and dime to death. It was bloop single after bloop single. Just felt like the Twins consistently found holes or gaps wherever they were. You had to feel for Zac Gallen there. He talked a little bit about it in the post game. It's tough, but ultimately, you don't give up 12 hits by luck. You know what I mean? There's no, oh man, he got really unlucky in that start. The exit velocity was there. Clearly, the Twins had it figured out if they were able to string together as many singles and hits as they did in a row. Really unfortunate for Zac Gallen, but I just kind of thought that was funny looking at the 2 starts because sometimes baseball makes 0 sense. We'll have to see coming up. We'll have plenty more on those games, how those games turned out, some updates on some of the injuries. I want to talk about Zac Gallen a little more in particular, what he's doing right, what he's doing wrong, what's gone wrong over the last few years with Zac Gallen, and just how bad that contract looks now that the Diamondbacks brought him back. So a little more on that. Want to talk about that in the future, but thank you again for tuning in to Locked On Diamondbacks. Hope you'll tune back in tomorrow, Monday through Friday. Episodes out every day at 7 a.m. Ready for a full week of talking about Diamondbacks. Make sure you subscribe and follow the podcast so you get all the latest episodes. Talking a little bit about the Everydayer Club. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Diamondbacks ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedondiamondbacks.supercast.com to join the club. For those of you on video, we send you over to the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast YouTube channel on audio for your second listen. Go check out Locked On MLB. Follow me at G1 Media, posting throughout the week, even when there's not a show. Got reactions after every game, posting stats. Want to do a lot of breakdowns. Been doing that so far. But follow me for more news. Hope you tune in next time. Peace out.